So, I came across three stories that I want to share with you. Got one out of New York, one out of California. The first is New York City overnight shootings leave two dead and three hurt. Two people were killed and at least three others were hurt in a spate of shootings across the Big Apple overnight. The two slayings took place in separate shootings in the Bronx and Staten Island late Friday night. So this was just last night. In the Bronx, shortly before midnight, a 31-year-old man was shot multiple times in the chest in front of 907 Teller Avenue near East 162nd Street. The victim was pronounced dead at Lincoln Hospital, and there are no arrests. On Staten Island, at about 10:20 p.m., cops responding to a 911 call of shots fired in front of 55 Bowen Street encountered a 44-year-old man shot in the left armpit and a 28-year-old man who had been shot in the leg. The older man was later pronounced dead at Staten Island University Hospital North, while the younger victim was in stable condition at Richmond University Medical Center, and there are no arrests. Earlier Friday night, a 17-year-old male was shot in the left arm outside of Francis Lewis Boulevard and Hollis Avenue in Queens at 10:45 p.m. The teen was taken to Cohen Children's Hospital in stable condition. Thank God the child is not dead. In the latest shooting, a man told police he was shot in the buttocks after he was approached by a robber along West Kingsbridge Road and Grand Avenue in the Bronx shortly after 2:30 a.m. Saturday morning. The victim, 44, was shot when he refused to turn over his property to the gunman. The gunman got away empty-handed. The victim was taken to St. Barnabas Hospital in stable condition. The only reason I brought this story is because we've seen so much gun violence lately, and I think people just need to make noise about it because something needs to happen. I'm just glad that none of these was another school shooting with cowardly cops running in the opposite direction. This story I want to share because it's just sad, and it is a good lesson in thinking before you act or thinking before you react. You know, thinking, is it really worth it? Do I really want to do this? And thinking about all the possible outcomes. A young couple is shot dead in the streets of California. A woman's dad and teen brother are arrested for double murder. The father and teen brother of a young woman who was murdered along with her boyfriend in a drive-by shooting has been arrested in California. Gerardo Zurita, 40, and his 19-year-old son, Leobardo Zurita, were arrested Wednesday, July 13th in connection with the double murder. A Facebook post a Fresno Police Department spokesperson revealed. About 11:30 p.m. on Friday, July 8th, the suspects allegedly carried out a fatal drive-by shooting at 3829 East Iowa Avenue, killing 21-year-old Stacy Zurita and her boyfriend, 25-year-old Raul Jose Roberto Nunez. Stacy was Leobardo's sister and Gerardo's daughter. Authorities say it all started when a fight broke out between the Zurita and Nunez families. When police responded to the scene, one of the victims was found on the sidewalk and the other was found in the middle of the street. Both victims was transported to CRMC, Community Regional Medical Center, where they later died from their gunshot wounds. During the investigation, detectives from the homicide unit learned that a fight had taken place between members of both the Zurita and Nunez families at the Iowa address, said the statement. Witnesses reported seeing a vehicle leaving the scene but returned a short time later. Shots were fired from an occupant inside the vehicle, striking both Raul and Stacy. The suspects were identified within no time as surveillance footage had captured the entire event. The video surveillance footage shows Leobardo Zurita, who had a long ponytail at the time, in the passenger side of the car, and at the time the shots were fired, we can clearly see that Leobardo is the right front passenger. This according to Fresno Police Lieutenant Paul Cervantes. The father and son were arrested days later on Tuesday, July 12th, after the duo was spotted in Fresno. Police say both men had altered their appearance in hopes of not getting caught. Both Leobardo and Gerardo, after this incident, took steps or efforts to conceal their identities. Specifically, Gerardo shaved his head and Leobardo cut his ponytail and shaved some facial hair. Gerardo was identified as the father of both Stacy Zarita, the suspected victim, and Leobardo Zarita, the murder suspect. Detectives say that Leobardo is remorseful and didn't intend to shoot Nunez and not his own sister. It was not his intent to injure his sister in any way, and I can tell you that Leobardo is remorseful. He regrets that he was engaged in this type of activity. He did admit to the shooting and he did confess to police about the incident. Both suspects were booked into the Fresno County Jail for 2 counts of murder. And that just goes to show, I'm sure that dude did not wake up that morning thinking, hey, I'm going to murder my sister today. And whatever happened, whatever the altercation was, they left the scene and came back to shoot up the house, and he ends up shooting the 2 very people that he had no intention of harming, his sister and her boyfriend. And that just goes to show what rash thinking and rash actions can do. Because in the time that he left and went wherever he went to get this gun and come back, he could have thought about it and been like, you know what, I don't need to do this. And if he had done that, his sister would still be alive, as well as her boyfriend. So we should all think 2 or 3 times before we act in anger and in haste, because sometimes the consequences can be more than you could bear and more than you could ever foresee. And the last story is a good news story, and I always love these. An Ohio family of 11 was awakened in the middle of the night by a stranger telling them that their house was on fire. I'm just going to play the video. I'm not going to read the article. There is sound on this video too. So this lady single-handedly saved the lives of 11, a family of 11. And of course, there's an ad first. Wow, you can see how big that fire is if you look over here to the left of the screen. I mean, it's on fire, on fire. So that was the good news story. That lady saved those people's lives in the middle of the night. I think it's awesome how she just happened to be in the right place at the right time, that time of night, looking out the window or whatever, and was able to save those people from that fire because it looks like that garage was seriously blazing. Well, I am out of here. I'll see y'all at 7 o'clock. We're gonna do a deep dive into the Corey Bigsby pity party press conference. I've got some videos pulled up that we can go back over, and it's going to definitely be a longer live than I usually do, but I think it deserves the commentary. So I will see y'all at 7.